Alrighty, and my guest today, my friend Başak. How are you doing? Welcome.
Welcome. Hello. I'm good. Well, self-quarantined, but other than that, I'm good.
Good. It's great to see you. We figured out 11 years almost since we've spoken last, but
yeah, no, it's not. Let's say it has been 11 years since we saw each other, but we've kept in touch.
Yes.
But yeah, it will be 11 years in September, I guess. There, I can't believe it. I was a teenager.
Yeah.
I feel like one now.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah, calendar says differently.
Right. And I mean, your life says differently too, and that's what I'm excited to get into first. Is just all that you've been up to. I can remember back to when you were in Kansas. You know, you had done the theater, and I don't remember what play it was exactly, but it wasn't.
It was Annie.
Annie.
Annie, the musical.
Okay.
Yeah. It took a while. Well, it was a good one though.
Mm-hmm. So I remember you. You know, when I had seen that you've kind of gotten into acting now later in life, I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So just for the people who kind of
do it.
Yeah, she went for it and made it happen. And just for kind of the people who don't know, what are you up to now?
Well, Jared, it took me, as you can see, 11 years to actually do it. Well, not 11 years, but I didn't know that I was that into acting. I always knew that I loved the stage. I always knew I loved singing. I had done theater before, but not in a professional way. So once we started working with Burl, Randy Burl, do you remember him?
Yeah.
He was like, "You have this stage." I don't remember the exact lines, words. You have this stage shine, I guess.
Presence.
Maybe the presence.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, do I? Well, I feel good. But the thing is, before I come to Goodland, I actually took the exams in Turkey. We actually take SATs or ACTs, we take an exam. And it's an exam to get into the college, to the university. So I actually took it and I got a good grade, and I enrolled in an architecture school. And when I went to Goodland with AFS as a high school student, I actually had the second diploma and another year to figure out which I really want to do. And I didn't know that I had any questions. And I was confused, So I loved it. And I enrolled in another school over there too for musical theater, which I had to leave early and come back here because I had some issues with my health and I had to come back. So I started my school in here and study architecture, which I graduated because my parents, they believe my father is in a architecture designing guru, he has a really good taste. And my sister, who is 10 years older than I am, she is an architect too. So I guess I didn't have any other choice to be, Yeah. And I was a hard worker. So I worked hard and I believe that I was, good in it. But no, it was just because I was working. Everyone who's working is good at something. It doesn't mean that you actually like it. So once I graduated, during the college, during my universities, I did a lot of acting, not in screen, but I did take classes, go to theaters, work, I don't know, study, read as much as I can, or like I said, take classes. And I realized that I want to do it. So once I was I think it was my third year. I took a car. I got in a car accident, which was a big one. And I was like, you know what? I am not really happy at the moment. So I'm pretty young and not happy, working all the time, but doing the thing that I really don't desire. So after that, I graduated, of course. I took another exam to get in my master's, which I didn't know I did it. Like, I got in a really good school. It's called Istanbul Technical University, and in its design masters with a thesis. Like, I was gonna actually work in a university. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do it. Like, I started working in an office, in an architectural office. I was going to school. Then I realized I didn't want to really do it. So I started taking some classes, again, acting classes in a serious way. And I talked to my parents that I really don't want to do this. Like, I want to be happy. And I work 24/7 when I'm an architect, which I will do it when I'm an actress too. And I know it's going to be hard, but this is not easy also. And I know it won't get me a lot of, fame or money or anything at first, but this doesn't also. And the thing is, I want to do it and I don't want to do this. So they were like, they did. And my mom was supportive, but my father had his own concerns, which I do understand this age. Back then, not so much.
Right.
But like, I was like, whatever you say, I respect you, I love you, but I am gonna do it. And he was like, okay, whatever you do, but when you're not able to pay your rent, don't come to me. Which he was never harsh to me like that. I was grown up to be a princess, and I'm like, okay, I won't. And he was like, okay, when you don't have a job, don't come. Okay, I won't. And it goes and goes and goes like that. And first 2 years, um, after I come from London, I went to take theater and screen acting in London, and I came back in here and started like looking for jobs, taking auditions, like bajillions of them, and nobody called back. I didn't get any callbacks, and I was like, "Am I not pretty enough? Am I not talented enough? Am I not like fit for this job? Like, can I not do it?" And I was like, "No, you will do it. I know it." And um, after that, my father gave me a hard time for probably like 2 years, not in a really mean way, but every time I actually had a stroke, like, he was like, you can always be an architect. Like, you can always go back. It's not too late. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it. And he showed my sister to me. He was like, you know how great she is in her work. And I'm like, I know, because she loves it. And I don't. That's the biggest difference. And after that, I actually took some auditions, and I realized that I wasn't going to do it. Like, I can't do it. So I decided to move back to London because, there's no job in here. At least I will work in a theater company in London, which actually I can earn money and respect it, you know? And I had a really good friend over there called Lucinda. She was like, okay, just come and stay with me. And, as long as you want, just do whatever you like. Just don't cry anymore. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to London and I'm going to do it.
What a good friend.
And yeah, she is a really good one though. And I actually bought my ticket. I booked my flight, bought it. I packed, and I got a phone call from a theater that day. Like 5 a.m. in the morning, it was my flight to London, and 6 p.m. the day before, theater company called me. They're like, so among all those girls, they were gonna choose two, and we were like, I don't know, probably like 200 of us because I was like 172nd second in the line, and everybody knew each other. I didn't know anyone because I didn't study here. Anyways, so he calls me and he says, well, we call every single person who actually gets auditions and say thank you. So I was like, okay, that's it. I didn't get it, so I'm just gonna go to London. And he says, you're not one of them. You're the ones that we're gonna work with. So we will start in 2 weeks. And I'm like, well, I am going back to London tomorrow. So we will start in 2 weeks. and I decided to have a nice short 10-day vacation and stay with my Lucinda for 10 days. So I went back. I actually had a vacation. I got really good theater plays, which I do translation also, like Turkish, English, English, Turkish. And here, so I came back. So that was the first reason I actually stayed here, and that made me believe in myself. And after that, we started rehearsing. And once we were done, the next day, there's this musical audition. So I said, okay, let's do it, you know. So I took the audition. They said I am the lead girl, and not lead girl, but there's this singing part, and how can I say it? It's like a, how do you say it? Like a solos.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to have the part which had solos.
Huh.
So they're like, okay, you got the part, and I'm like, oh, I got the part. So I have two plays. Nice. So once we're done with the rehearsal, the next morning, everything happened like this, like literally. My manager calls me, and he says all the auditions I took, like over, I don't know, like 2.5 years, probably, like, or 2 years, like probably like hundreds of them. I didn't get any. And then after this, he tells me, so you have a set tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. And I'm like, oh, you better be kidding me, because this was my premiere night and we're going out tonight. And he's like, no, you're not. I'm like, okay, I'm going home. So I went back. So I had to go back because, you know, when you have a job, you don't really go out. You have to be awake and know your lines and be ready for it. And I'm like, okay, guys, have fun for me too, because I have another job. And I was happy, you know. Once you waited so much, you don't really care about going out or doing anything else. You just want to work. You just want to have the work. And that series, it was a short one, but I met really amazing people, and I actually start learning how you do it in front of a camera, because I've never done it before, and it wasn't as easy as I expected, but at the same time not complicated at all, because I was into it. And but the series, because of the I don't know how to say the rate, um, it was only 8 episodes or 7 or something like that. It's called 8 Day, 8 gün in Turkish. So I was like, I was sad because it ended. And after that, I waited again, like so long, like, I don't know, it felt like a lifetime. And, but I realized that I don't really regret, you know, like choosing it, because I waited. I had really hard time. I did like a lot of jobs, by the way, like, I was a waitress for a couple months because it helped me pay the rent. And I will say it when I get my, you know, the award, when I'm holding it. Like, it was a very, very hard day, but I made it. You know, I will tell about this after that. So, anyways.
And that's a lot to unpack from there. Even the thing that I think about too is, so you have all this talent, you're smart. It's not like you're failing in being an architect. You're like, well, I'm good at this. So there's a little bit of pressure. You know, you said your dad was doing it, your sister had done it. It's the family business. So there's something inside of you that's like,
yeah,
I don't know, I'm not fulfilled. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why they believed that I was going to be a good architect. But no, like, even though I had good grades, that doesn't mean that I have passion for it. I have passion for working, which I do also now also. But it was just that, and yeah, it wasn't. It was hard to change your subject, you know, because it's a totally different thing, a different lifestyle, different schooling, different body posturing. Like, everything is different, and it's hard. It's easier when you do it when you're like 16, 17, but it's hard when you're like actually graduated from from a school, and then you're like 22, and everybody is like younger than you, and they're like, a lot flexible, And I'm like, no, I can do it. So I woke up at 5 a.m. till 8, and I did my, like workouts and everything to catch up. And I read a lot because they knew more. It wasn't easy. It's still not easy, by the way. It's still hard, but I love it. So it feels easier.
What do you think inside of you knew that you would like this and that you would be successful at it before doing it? Because I'm sure now you look back on what the actual reality of it is, and it's probably different than what you thought, but you still love it.
Well, why I was sure is probably because that I do dream a lot. Like I daydream also, and you know that too. And I actually dream at night, and I do remember them. And the thing is, when I was like dreaming of being an architect, it gave me like, it was not a dream. It gave me like, it was like a nightmare to me. And when I was like dreaming that I was like on stage acting or like singing or doing something or saying, and people looking at me and understand, they do understand what I actually meant, and it felt like I can actually change something. So it gave me a purpose. Like the other thing, architecture, I was doing it because I could do it. I was doing it, and I can say I was good at it. I was doing it properly, but I didn't. It wasn't my dream for acting. I didn't want to do it just properly. I have passion for it, and I want to change something. So probably that's why I never get disappointed. I did get disappointed, but it didn't take so long. I just got back and I was like, okay, let's do it.
And I'm sure even the work ethic that you developed, like in school, taking that serious, and architecture taking that serious, probably helped you once you were an actress, because you had that muscle of,
yes,
I just work hard. That's what I do.
Yes, it helped me a lot. I was a person who wakes up late and likes to sleep, and I couldn't coordinate any of my work when I was a teenager. My mom helped me a lot. My family did, and I was living with my family. And once I got back from Goodland, I decided that I want to move out, which I couldn't like as soon as I decided it. It took me like 4 years, but after I graduated from architecture school, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna work and pay for my acting classes and pay for my rent, but I will stay alone because I wanted to have the responsibility to, like I wanted to force myself into something that I've never done before. And at the same time, what the architecture that to me was like, I don't miss sleeping that much, and I can like organize well. I have a discipline, and I don't really. I never go to bed before I finish something. I never do it. Like I can't do it. I can't sleep. So it's because every single morning I had a jury coming up in architecture school, so I couldn't go back to sleep before finishing stuff. So it made me like this. So now when I have something, I always know my lines. I always read all the scripts. I always know my partner's lines also. Like I'm always prepared. It's because I respect my work, I respect myself, and I want to do it like with all of me, like 100%. And this is the way. If I don't get any jobs, if they, for example, if I give an audition and they don't want me, I feel like it's not my fault because I knew my lines. I actually did what it takes. Then they didn't want me. They don't want someone, I don't know, blonde. They want someone skinnier, or they wanted someone taller, or they actually wanted someone who's, I don't know, they think better than me. So, but I did my 100%, and it's nothing that I could do more. So I go to bed very calm and very happy.
Which is hard to do when you were talking about those years, the years before today, where it wasn't always easy and you probably were turned down and you had to face failure like any young artist. But to be able to to know in your heart that, no, I am doing everything I can, that's everything.
Sure, I thought I was fat. I thought I was not pretty enough. I thought my voice was, I don't know, like a childish voice. I don't know, like I thought some ridiculous things to not push myself, like blame myself. Then I realized that I wasn't happy with me. I didn't like me. That I think it was just because of it. And then one day I met meditation. I met yoga, which helped me a lot. I met NLP and energy sessions, and I went out more, like in nature, and I stayed calm without talking. I made a schedule for myself, and I reminded myself that there's only one me, and if I don't like myself, nobody ever will. And I am not ever gonna get any jobs. It's not because of the jobs. It's because you wake up and you don't like yourself, and you with yourself 24/7, and the system, you blame it on the system, and you say, okay, the system makes me like that, the system is making me unhappy, the system is forcing me. No, you're doing it yourself. The system was always happy, so how are the people doing? How are they happy? Because they don't care? No, they do care. So I started caring, but I stopped blaming me. I stopped loving me as who I was. As I don't know, I'm not a model, which I don't need to be. I'm not, I don't know, blonde. I am like this. I am like how I am. So I liked me. And probably it's because of this that I get the role, because then I believed in me. I knew that once I meet the director, I knew I could, how can I say, explain who I am. If he doesn't want me, okay then, but it's not about me. So, and he liked me. Well, that was a good thing. But yeah, the transformation started like this, I guess, and I didn't really call it just luck, because you have to be in the right position and right moment, right date.
You have to be the right person.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you have to be the right person, but you have to be the right person to you. First to be ready. You before like knowing your lines. I thought I didn't think about it back then. Like now I think I was like, before knowing my lines, I need to understand what it's saying. I need to understand how I should be, how I should act, or like how my partner is acting, or like who I am, really, who Başak is. I need to stop lying to myself. So I am still working on it. I'm in a really young age, especially for acting. It's a long journey. And I don't know. I hope it goes well, which I believe it will. I want to believe like that.
Yeah, you're humble, but it seems like it is going well. I did get a catch Early Bird, one of the series that you did. I don't speak.
That was the last one.
Okay. Don't speak the language, but it was still interesting to see and to see you on there and stuff. So it's just really cool. And it makes me think, this is usually a sports podcast, but not really. We just talk like me and you were talking, and a lot of the same things come up, the hard work, the being able to be yourself, and that translating into being engaging with another person and having that right relationship. So it's just funny. It's we can be thousands of miles apart talking about something totally different, yet it kind of comes back to the same thing. So it's cool. But with Early Bird,
first of all,
Go ahead.
I was going to say, first of all, I told you 11 years ago that you should learn Turkish. You remember that? We were forcing you, and like we were like taking American history.
Yeah, yep, exactly. Yeah, I think you sat in front of me.
Like sitting back. Yeah. I was like, you need to know your Turkish.
Unfortunately, I didn't.
You were speaking so fast back then, and I was like, okay, Jer, I didn't get it, and you're like, you need to understand it. You're in America. I'm like, I started speaking Turkish, and you're like looking like this, and I'm like, you need to know Turkish.
Yeah, I can't imagine my face like that, you know. Unfortunately, didn't even learn German, so I'm behind. It's impressive to me to see you out there. You know, you speak perfect English, speak Turkish. It's different.
Well, I did German and Spanish also. It's your fault.
Yeah, it is. Did you do that in Goodland?
Well, I was actually in a German high school in Turkey, and I started Spanish in Mrs. Porterfield with her, and I loved it, and I love the culture too, and food, and then I continued. I didn't really speak German after that. I find it different than me, German is, but I loved Spanish. I actually studied like hour or two during self quarantine also.
Wow.
So
that's awesome.
Yo hablo español.
There we go. I'll get Chris on the line. He'll help me out here.
Okay.
Early bird, though, before I do want to talk about a little bit about Goodland and just the differences between Turkey and Goodland and all that. But with early bird, just can you tell me about playing a character over a series and kind of finding yourself in that and who that character is and kind of how you came into that?
Well, with Deniz, her name was Deniz, and it's actually my sister's name, by the way. She was different than who I was, but similar to me also. So I tried to find something in me which I could cooperate with, I can relate with. And our director and scriptwriter, they helped me a lot also. They actually write a really nice character, and she had a background. She was a psychologist, and I started working with my psychologist friends. I go over with my lines with them, and they actually like tell me about it. For example, like breathing therapy or like dance therapy. I didn't know how I should do it. And Dennis was a character who actually studied psychology at college, but she never practiced it because she had her own issues. She's a naive one, you know. They're like those people who actually like the ones they love the most to be happy, and once they're happy, she is happy. She was like not very self-centered. She was mostly like going being happy with the ones surrounding her. So I actually tried to understand what others meant to her because it was pretty much designed like this, the character is. So we started like that, and the script helped me out with it also. And I found some words connecting like two characters, like every single character, every single relationship. I tried to add some words, and I repeatedly say it. For example, like I say kuzucum. Everyone who's watching it, they know what I mean now. Like it's like kind of, I cannot actually translate it because like it's a cultural thing. But like it's like a honey kind of word, not exactly means honey. But kuzu actually means a sheep. Like she's not a sheep.
Oh.
Anyway, so it's like
a
it's
sentence
like a teddy bear. Oh my, yeah, I know. It's like my teddy bear kind of feeling. I try to create feelings to the audience, and like once you see someone, once you watch someone, if she is someone that you can relate to, you actually like her, even though she makes a mistake or she's doing something bad. You actually give a reason to it, reasoning it. I try to communicate with the audience or like this or relate it to that. I want them to feel like if I go to their house, I will be more than welcome. Like I want them to feel like they knew me for like, I don't know, for their whole life. So, I think it worked. The series was a big hit too. It's not what I did. I was a additional character. Deniz was an additional character, which I actually started the series in the 40th episode. But the thing is, I couldn't believe how fast people actually liked it. I didn't have an idea, like you don't like sit at your house and you go, I did a great job. They will love it. You don't say that. You always like, oh my God, do I did something like, am I, natural? Do I say it right? Or like, what are my teachers gonna think? What are the people who I look up to think? Or do they gonna like me? I don't know. And people actually write really nice things and not just I love you stuff, but the stuff that showing me that they actually believed in the character. They, once she's sad, they actually send messages to me to be happy. They thought I was sad. Or like it's kind of it's a conflict though, but like
That's
I
sweet.
was like, yeah, and they texted me, um, and thinking that I was a real psychologist, counselor. And I'm like, okay, guys, I need to tell you something now, which this is a role, and you're so kind, but I am not, and I don't have any clue about it. It's just not. I don't have any clue about it. This is a major I want to study next. By the way, psychology is, but I am not now. And it helped me though, reading a lot of like books about counseling and psychology and self improvement. It helped me building the character too, and I got a lot of help. I worked, like I went to shooting, came back home, know my lines, and took a lesson or do master class and online, or I did read a lot. I don't know, see a lot of plays or movies. I try to or listen, podcasts and stuff, or like I don't know the auditions they took earlier. So it was like full-time job for me.
Talking about you playing a character people like now and the people that can relate to and kind of want to have a friend like that. Are you nervous about playing a character that might not be as liked, playing like a villain or something like that, casting something like that?
I don't know. I think if it's written well, I do believe that every single character is a human, So, like, for example, like you watch a movie and there's this villain and the cops, they will actually catch him and you don't want him to get caught because you actually resonate with him. You actually understand the reason that for example, Joker, we all love Joker, and I actually cried at the end of it. No, I actually cried probably like the whole time. But the thing is, because I do cry, you know me. The thing is, we actually loved him. We actually understood why he was a murderer. He murdered like I don't know people in front of us, and he had a psychological disease, but we understood him, and yes, he was a villain. He was a bad guy, and you don't want him to be around your kids, but you still don't want him to get caught. So the thing is, if it's a written character like this, I would, if I have the ability, if I can do it, I would love to do but act it. I would love it, because then it's tasty. it's different. It's different than who I am. So I don't know. I'm not scared, but I might be scared if the character is just one-sided, a bad person, and she doesn't have any I don't know, progress, any reason to be bad, any reason to be mean. And if I can't find any reason according to the script, it kind of holds me, and people will hate her. Of course, I would do too, I would think that she's just a selfish.
Yeah.
I did my own.
There you go. Appreciate it. No.
I don't do cussing much. So, but no, I'm not scared. I would love to play one like this.
That's a great answer. You mentioned Joker. That's a perfect answer too. It made me think of Walter White. I don't know if you've seen Breaking Bad or not, but it's like that's a terrible character. But you also, especially the first run through,
the series I did, La Casa de Papel, for example. Have you ever heard of it or like see it? It's a Netflix show.
The Prophet.
It's a Spanish one. No, La Casa de Papel.
Oh no, I haven't.
Oh, please do. They're like guys who actually rob the bank. They're like robbing the bank, but you actually like every single of them. You don't want anyone to catch them. Like you can go there, and I don't know. Like I actually want to. They call people as I'm not gonna give a spoiler, but like I'm just gonna say a tiny little bit to you. You will appreciate, by the way. You will thank me. It's a really good one. The thing is, they call people as city names. So I had this dream every single day. I studied Spanish when I was like self quarantining myself, and I was like, maybe one day they can call me Istanbul and just join.
Yeah, you're gonna be ready.
Come join.
This is her calling her shot. If anyone's
ready.
out there,
I'm ready. I know. Yo hablo español.
Yeah. She's a hard worker. She's told you this is a. Oh, that's great.
So, anyways, what I was actually gonna say was like people from Look Us Up about call me, not this. I was trying to say that they're like robbing the bank. Pretty much, they're like bad people, but you love them because it's so well written, and they're like, oh my god, they're acting so good. You're like, oh my god, I actually bite my nails, and I'm like, oh my god, my next project is coming up. I can't really bite my nails.
I can't watch this. It's
so yeah.
It's a perfect time for me to talk to you in a different way because I've been quarantining also, and I've usually not one to watch movies a lot. I fall asleep more often than not, but I've had more time to get into it and enjoy things and kind of see it in a different way. So to hear you talk about it is cool.
Please watch La Casa de Papel. I will write it down for you, and please wait for your wife.
Oh, I will.
Too.
I will.
Yeah, watch with her, and do not ever hashtag it because you will get all the like spoilers, and it's a really good show. You will thank me.
Okay.
You will actually get me a present because of it.
Okay. You heard it here first, everybody. Oh my gosh. I could talk acting with you all day, but I don't want to take up too much of your time. And I do want to talk about Goodland and just the transition from you living there to here. God. So just from when you first knew you were going to be an exchange student and you heard you were going to Goodland, Kansas, what did you know? What did you think?
Oh my God, Jeremy, you need to hear the story. So I was a 17-year-old high schooler who actually took the exam, got the scholarship. And it has told me that I will go to the United States. I'm like, yes, this is a dream come true. So I'm watching all the American Dream movies. I'm like one of the girls who actually like, they have this, what do you call them? Cheerleaders. So I'm like, I'm going to be a cheerleader. I'm going to be the popular girl in the school and everything. And they told me that I am going to somewhere called Goodland. So I searched for Goodland, and it says it's in Florida. So I packed I packed for Florida. I put all of my nicest bikinis and every single of my skirts and everything. I did like 2 suitcases for Florida. And
Oh
then, like
no.
3 days before I actually went to Goodland, got on a plane, I looked at the mail and it says Goodland, comma KS, and I'm like, I wasn't so familiar back then, like what KS is, what NY is, anything, and I'm like Goodland, comma KS. So I typed Goodland, comma, KS this time. And it says it's a town in Kansas. So I am Dorothy in here. And every single thing about Kansas, they talk about how nothing is in Kansas. Like, you can't find this in Kansas. You can't do this in Kansas. You can find anything in Kansas. You can't live in Kansas. And I'm like, I'm a freaking 17-year-old teenage girl who wants to live in an American dream, and you're sending me to Kansas? And I actually got an exam and got a really good score, and you're giving me my scholarship to Kansas, which all of my friends went to New York and I don't know, like Miami. And I'm like, Kansas girl. Okay. So I looked up and it says cowgirl. I watched Western movies because I thought I didn't have any vision. I didn't have any, like, any information about anything. Anyways, so I unpacked and I packed for Kansas and I told my family I took the test and I told you that I am going to United States. So if it's Kansas, I'm going to Kansas. But I was so down. I was so disappointed. Anyway, so it was a Sunday morning when I first arrived, and I only heard bells from the church, and no one was in the streets. And Google said that Goodland, Kansas had only 4,000 people, which Istanbul had like 50 million back then. And I'm like, 4,000 is like in my neighborhood.
Oh.
What am I going to do? Like, it's, I didn't know what to do.
Wow.
And then it taught me that being happy doesn't have anything with a place. It doesn't have anything with population, how popular it is, how technology is so much over there, how many people they live in the city or anything. It taught me, and a very, I think 17 was an early age for that. It taught me that you can actually find a family in a country that you didn't ever, like, haven't ever gone before, and they they are actually your family, and the town, they can actually welcome you. And the thing is, every single person of my friends who took the AFS exam and going to United States, they all had families. And in Kansas, I read that they're all conservative.
Mm-hmm.
And they hated, I don't know, Muslims. They hated Turkish people, and they actually mixed them. They thought that we actually, I don't know, like go with camels, and I had to wear a burqa and anything. So that's because they don't want me. And I'm like, so I'm going to the United States, and it's so far from my home, and I'm gonna live there for, like, I don't know, years, and I don't have a family. So where am I going to
Wow.
stay? And I'm going to Kansas. And it turns out that it's because of the paperwork. My family loved me since day one, and they actually treated me as one of their own. And they never forced me to call them mom and dad, and which I didn't at first. But then, do you remember I got really sick? I didn't come to school like a couple weeks. I actually got really sick, and um, they they were my mom and dad. You know, like my Wendy was my mom because I don't know, she didn't sleep. She was like looking at me if I was breathing, if I was okay. And my dad also, like, they were so kind. And one day actually we got in a fight with my mom, Wendy. I mean, my mom.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, and I was a teenager. I told you. And I said, and she always says that I am quite like her and Elizabeth. Do you remember Elizabeth, my sister?
Of course.
Elizabeth is like my father, and William's something in the middle. And William was like 2.5 years old back then. I slept like probably 5 nights out of 7 with him by like reading him. It was like I gave him a birth. I don't know, like he was my own child kind of love. And anyway, I got in a fight with my mom, and not in a disrespectful way, both of us. But I told her, okay, then, if you don't want me, then I will leave. I will change families, you know. And Elizabeth and Dad, they're like so nervous. They're like, so kind and so even, and we're like so passionate with Mom. I'm sorry. And she's like, okay, young lady, you know what you will do? You will go back to your room and you will stay there and you will think, because you are the family and you're not leaving anywhere. I am mad at you, but it doesn't mean that we're not family. So you go back to your room and think about it. And I'm like, oh my God, this lady loves me so freaking much. So she didn't actually want me to go. She was just angry at me. And those two things actually made me feel like home, And I had my room decorated. One day I came home, it was like decorated because they loved me and they cared for what I liked. So they decorated it how I liked it. Or like, I don't know, we had chores divided to us. It was a fair house. I wasn't an exchange student in the house. Or I don't know, I didn't know anything about being a homecoming queen. I didn't have a clue.
I forgot you were the homecoming queen. Yeah.
Do you remember? It was like I was in this stadium, and they called the first attendant, and then they called the second attendant. So I thought first attendant was the first one, so she was the queen. And second attendant was the second one, so she's the silver one, I guess.
Uh-huh.
So I was the bronze one, the third one. So I'm like, I'm still happy, and I don't know what's going on. I'm like, oh my God, rest in peace, Brandy, by the way. Oh my God, Brandy and Ashley and everyone is looking at me like, Başak, you were the queen. And I'm like, I am the queen, me, Başak the queen. How am I? But she was the first. No. And then Kevin looks at me, she's like, you dumb. You're the queen. I'm like, they're like giving me the crown and everything. And I'm like, looking at it. And I went back to home. They're like celebrating it. It was a big party. It was a big thing over there. I didn't have a clue. I called my mom in Turkey to tell her that I am the homecoming queen. She's like, oh my God, congratulations. I'll talk to you later, okay? I'm like, oh, okay, but Mom, this is a very big, okay. She didn't get it. So she didn't get it because in a cultural way we don't have something like this. So I don't know, like, you guys welcome to me. You are a good friend, always sarcastic, always giving me a hard time, but you are a good friend, and people are really nice. The community, it was a really good one also. So it made me understand that you actually feel loved somewhere, and that's your home. So anywhere can be your home if you're surrounded with the people you love and to be loved,
Mm-hmm.
So I guess in time, Goodland wasn't so different than here. You know what I mean? Well, at first it was so different, but then I forgot how I was living in here. I forgot my culture, by the way. I forgot everything. I actually read Quran with Bible because the thing is, I didn't read any of the books. It's like we're Muslim, but I didn't have a clue. I didn't know how to read in Arabic. I didn't know how to read Quran. I didn't know any religious books. But then I realized if I want to believe or not, I should do it after I read it. And I feel so ashamed. I felt so ashamed because people over there, my father, my family, they knew some Turkish words. They knew some Turkish meals. They had Quran. They read it because they needed to understand the part of my culture. And I felt so ashamed because I didn't read it by the age of 17. because it's not a common thing. It wasn't a common thing surrounding me. So I started reading it, and then I get an understanding of religions also. So it actually helped me understand about my own culture also.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's a great answer. And it has to just be a crazy experience from, like you said, not understanding where you're going and even having some preconceived notions, which, you know, there are reasons for those, but then you also meet just the people. And like you say, it's not so different. And that's when like all that stuff falls away and, you know, you're just talking to somebody, you're just connecting with somebody, or you're in track, or you're this. And it's just like, that's really cool. That's really cool to hear from your perspective. Is there anything that you like picked up in Goodland that you still do to this day, or anything like that?
I drink milk. With my meals. And everybody in here, they're looking at me like I'm a bizarre person. Like I am I don't know, alien coming from another universe. I'm like, well, we do drink milk and Goodland with meals because my family did, and I loved it. And what I do is, I don't know, like there are a couple of things that I actually picked because I remember mom telling me that I came different, you know, like I picked up some habits. I learned a lot about living with a toddler. I realized that I'm a child person. Like I love kids, and I am a good caregiver, you know. So I started with my mom over there. We did Big Sisters and Big Brothers, Big Brothers and Big Sisters. Do you remember that? Yeah. We have a similar one in here, so I volunteer over there, and I started studying about kids. So William actually made me understand that I have a part that is a natural mother. You know, I didn't know back then.
Wow. It's awesome. You have to be open to learning things, and you've shown that, kind of talking about all these different parts of your life and picking up different things. Yeah. I'm sure there's a lot of people from Goodland that'll be listening to this. Just give you the floor to say anything to them.
Oh my God. To be honest, you guys totally changed me. That's the first one. And you don't know how big of an impact you have on me. And the thing is, it was the exact moment. Actually, I was building up my personality. It was a year, you know, if a person actually builds up her personality. So we actually met the right timing, I guess, at the right time. So thank you for being a part of my life. And the thing is, I believe because some of my friends over there, they actually text me and they think that I forget them. And they're like, for example, hey, I'm Stephanie. Do you remember me 11 years ago? Of course I do remember you. Like, you were my whole year and a half. I don't know. Like, of course I do remember you. I didn't forget anything. I didn't. And yeah, I just want them to know that it was an honor for me to be a Goodlander, to be a cowgirl. It was an honor for me, and I had one of the best years in my life. I always call this like this. This was the best thing and the hardest thing that I've done for myself. It was a big challenge, but I think it was a really good one. I always tell like high schoolers to take AFS exams and go to another country to learn another culture, because when you learn another culture, you start, for example, you stop calling them Americans because they're not Americans anymore. They're one of you. They're part of you. I sometimes call myself an American here, but not you. You know, you start combining. You start to understanding, and you become a person of a world. You know what I mean?
Right.
Empathy, sympathy. Right. They're the things we actually lack of during these days. Yeah. So I really do want people, and I don't know, like teenagers to consider it.
Right. That's great to hear from you. And it's just great to hear that experience. It's really cool. I'm sure people enjoy listening to that. It's been such a fun conversation.
So. It was my first time, and I had really technical issues and everything in here. And since we're at home, all of the neighbors are out because, in the balconies and gardens also, and my garden also. So kind of.
It's a beautiful area, though. You got the beautiful shot back there.
Yeah, it's not a bad one. I love the garden.
That's awesome. So just thank you for coming on. I enjoyed being your friend back in the day. The American history class was always fun. Like you said, we'd always give each other a hard time. It made that class much more interesting.
What was that I was saying?
No.
Never understood.
No.
It's like, Jeremy, what is he saying? Just translate it. You were like translating English to English. And then I don't understand it. And I'm like, oh, I see. Okay, Indians were in now.
Yeah. Okay, this is what they mean by Man, I would not be as brave as you even today, being able to go to another country and do that.
Me too. Not today. Like I thought about it the other day. I was like, how did I do it? Like all of those countries alone, going, nobody, I don't know anyone. Like and years and years and years, and I missed my home, I missed my family, missed my culture, and I'm now. It seems so hard. So that's why I call teenagers to do it, because now I have responsibilities. I have a family, I have boyfriend, I have a house, I have my father, and I don't know, mom, sister, and everything seems like a responsibility. And I feel it in me that I cannot leave now. I have a job and dog. Anything is a reason now. Back then, I just packed
and went
and go. Yeah,
you were gone. Wow. So it wasn't Florida, but it was Kansas, and it sounded like it all worked out well.
Happy. I'm so white for Florida. I probably get like sunburned.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you only hear bad things about Florida these days. So,
yeah.
For the people who want to kind of follow you, what do you have coming up? Just to wrap here, I know you're kind of in a waiting period now, but I'm sure I don't know if there's going to be another season of Early Bird or kind of. What are you up to?
I actually have like good news. The thing is, before this quarantine period on March, I was gonna start with a new series, and it will be a digital one. It was going to be a digital one, and on April, I was going to start another one on TV. So now, it seems like now we're going back and forth, but like it seems like we're gonna do it all together now, and probably in late May or June. But yeah, something is coming up, and now I'm working on it.
It's awesome. Well, we'll look for her. You can follow her. What is your handle on Instagram?
Oh my God! Do you want me to spell it?
Do you notice how when I introduced you, I was like, my friend Başak, I'm not going to attempt your last name, even though at one point I could probably say it, but...
I know, they were calling me Başak like Madonna in Goodland because they couldn't say Gümülcinelioğlu, my last name. It was like too long for them. I do understand it. So it's like BASAKGUMULCINELIOGLU. This is the longest thing I said.
I feel like I can write it better than I can say it, so we'll go with that. And I can spell check it too. So thank you, Başak. It was a great time. Anytime you want to come back on, this was fantastic.
Yeah, you too, Jared. Thank you so much. You're so kind and precious to me. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Say hi, Jared. Bye. Bye.